A sad Mother's Day for several Atlanta families after 6 people were shot, 2 of them killed at a nightclub in Buckhead. Atlanta News First reporter Joshua Skinner has more on the shooting and Atlanta's nightclub violence.
Residents and workers say this area of South Buckhead on Peachtree Street, where 6 people were shot early this morning, has been a problem area for a while, one that some people think is indicative of a larger problem for the city of Atlanta. 6 people shot, 2 killed in Buckhead on Mother's Day.
Bennett Street was just this incredible, artistic, hopping, exciting place, and that doesn't seem to be the case anymore, and it's unfortunate.
Amy Brown Edelstein's husband, Bruce, owns a dental practice just blocks away. He's seen the area change.
It just seems like it's getting worse. As time goes on, it's definitely not getting better, so something really needs to be done.
Atlanta police say the incident happened around 2:30 a.m. inside the 1145 lounge off Peachtree Street. Sunday evening, police identified the 2 people killed as Nycris Ridley and Mari Creighton.
Clear procedures and letting individuals in with a gun, that'll be a part of our investigation right now, but we are in the preliminary stages.
Aaliyah Strong runs the nonprofit Time to Thrive Beyond Grief, which provides resources for families affected by gun violence. She lost her fiance to a nightclub shooting 2 years ago.
No, I wouldn't let my child go out. I mean, obviously, people, we're young, you want to go out, you want to have fun, but if you lived in Atlanta, like probably 10 years ago, it was nothing how it is now.
Change.org petition was created in 2020 attempting to shut down 1145, citing crime and safety at and surrounding the club. 4 years later, Strong questions what, if anything, has changed.
Are we just going to keep letting people get killed, just trying to go out and have a good time, or are we actually going to do something about it?
And as of now, police have made no arrests. An 1145 lounge announced on social media earlier this evening they will not be opening tonight. Reporting in South Buckhead, Joshua Skinner, Atlanta News First.